Welcome to the Dirty Side of Leadership podcast with Ron and Kristin, where leadership meets entertainment. This podcast features stories with names and certain aspects that have been changed to keep submissions private. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Dirty Side of Leadership podcast, where leadership meets entertainment. I'm Kristin Sokoloff here with my co-host Ron Ward, and today we are talking about something that may seem small, but has a massive impact on not only leadership, but influence and relationships.
That's a fact. It's going to help you in all walks of life, and it's something that's overlooked, and it's something that I learned to take seriously a while back. We implemented into our coaching program, Kristin, so I'm pretty excited about this. It seems simple, but once you see it, remember, if you're listening, you're not going to be able to unsee this or unhear it.
I love that. Exactly. I mean, today's episode is about conversation starters, and more specifically, how most of us are trapped in what we're calling the robotic loop.
Yes, and let's be honest, most conversations start exactly the same way. As a matter of fact, let's do one, Kristin. Hey,
Okay.
Kristin.
It is almost embarrassing how it happens.
Hey, Kristin, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. How's the kids?
If you get a grammar asshole, Ron, then they're going to be like, I'm doing well.
I'm doing well. You're right.
I'm doing well. And then I'm like, are they trying to correct
I
me?
am a grammar guy, so
How dare
anyway.
they?
How's the kids?
Great. Thank you. How about you?
Good to hear. Fine. How's the holidays?
Busy.
I think people are getting the picture here. Now, if we didn't know each other, it would be this. Hi, I'm Ron. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Ron. I'm Kristin.
Hey, Kristin, what do you do?
Wow, that's a real fun question. A lot of things. I do a lot of things, Ron.
Yeah, so do I. So as you can see,
And then they're thinking,
what does she do? Yeah, what does she do? As you can see, though, we are just not learning anything about people, and we're in this loop. As a matter of fact, you've said those same things so many times, you don't even have to think at all. You just be, fine, how are you? Great, how are you? So anyway, we're going to break the loop. We're going to break the loop.
I know. It's like with those types of questions, you already know the answers before you ask the question. You know what they're going to say. We are almost programmed. And that's why I remember when customers at the bank, you'd say, how are you doing? Fair to Midland. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a new one, right? And I'm like, that takes me aback, right? So, this is really important that we dive into this. And, to your point, Ron, that's really not a conversation. That's an exchange of pleasantries. And leaders do this. I mean, I was guilty of doing that. But leaders do this with their teams, their clients, and even their families. That's a little cringe.
And, even John Maxwell says leadership rises and falls with communication. And then we turn around and we let people live in the loop, and we never break the loop. So what really needs to be said is communication rises or falls on the quality of your questions.
I love that. Look at you.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive into why small talk fails. And, actually, I'll let you, this is your baby, Ron. Why don't you dive into that?
Small talk is designed for safety, not connection. It's how we avoid risk. In our executive coaching, we show levels of conversation, level 1 being pleasantries, and that's where people stay. That's where they remain, because there's several reasons. If I ask you, Kristin, you seem a little down today. May I ask what's going on? Well, I have to. I've invested myself in you, and we're going to have a conversation now. Maybe I don't want to. Maybe I don't really care. So what I'm saying is pleasantries is definitely not connection, and we're going to look at more ways to build connection.
You're spot on that, Ron. I even remember people would be like, how are you doing? Oh, not good. And then I'm like, oh, crap. Now I have to say, oh, really? I'm sorry to hear that. And then you're like, now I'm stuck. So, which sounds horrible. But when you're in customer service, people can dump on you. So, all right, let's talk about the most dangerous question in leadership and what that actually might be. You touched on it earlier, Ron.
Yeah, and this is a guy thing also. If I'm at, you and I were talking about a restaurant halls. Basically, the question you ask guys, what do you do? or what brings you to this area, or something like that. And that's how guys talk.
I know. And I felt that one because, you know, I've talked about this. I used to be like, I couldn't wait for somebody to ask me so I could tell them my title, right? Because I was so proud of where I had gone in my career. It is a lot different now because now I'm like, that doesn't define me. And I do a lot of things. It's not an easy answer. And it is so surface.
Yeah, I love the way you said it because we collapse human beings into a job title. And remember, I've said in a previous episode that job title doesn't last forever. So, you know, you're more than that. And you should treat people as though they're more than that. So you don't get the story, you just get the label.
Yeah. And then once someone gives you a label, the conversation stalls. Like, oh, yeah, I am a software engineer. I'm like, right on. Okay. Cool, you know?
So we need to be curious. Great leaders are curious. So if you will ask curiosity questions, it's going to wake the brain up. For example, Kristin, if you asked me how I was doing, imagine if I said, well, if this were a football field, I'd probably be on the 70-yard line. Or if today was a football field. Or I've been battling these emails, and a couple of them got a punch in. Anything I can do, not anything, but I want to get your brain to break the loop and actually start processing what I'm saying.
Yeah, I love that because, you know, when you were saying that, I immediately started visualizing. So like the football field, right? And I'm like, okay, where is that? And where is that? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Right. So yeah, that it gives people something they can actually see.
Yeah, that's very good. Visualization is powerful. And even storytelling in conversations. If you ever been around a good storyteller, man, they've got a hook and they do what I call intriguing connectors. And then they have a strong ending, and man, they can just captivate. You feel like you watched a movie, and that's a really cool skill that people can develop. But in coaching, as far as talking, we use the term threading. Imagine that you're knitting a quilt or whatever. You're threading this personality together, and I'm trying to learn things about you, and I build a personality profile. What we do in coaching, from body language to micro expressions to conversation, we want to build profiles on someone. And it doesn't mean the FBI profiler type. It is getting to know someone so that you can be more effective, or you can help them if need be. That's what we're talking about, connection.
So give me some options, right? Like, so if I'm looking to replace, how are you?
Yeah.
What would you replace that with?
That's good. So I could literally go, hey, Kristin, what's been taking up most of your energy lately? How do you think you might respond to that?
Oh, my goodness. I've been painting my entire house to burn my energy.
There you go. See, that's
great.
Like,
yeah, that's true. And then you can visualize their house, and you're visualizing them actually physically working, and you're visualizing progress. And yeah, that's really. Okay.
I got a bad visual. You had paint on the windows. I'm kidding. Okay, so
no, I used painter's tape. It looks gorgeous.
I know you
I'm
did.
sending you a picture.
We know, Kristin.
I can be fast and furious. So yes, as I grow older, I'm trying to be a little more mindful of the quality of my work.
Yes. So think about it. If I'm threading, then I know you've been painting. So I go, I might want to say, do you do it yourself projects? Is that something you like to do? Now,
well, yes, I do.
See, I know everything about you now. You like long walks on the beach.
There you go. You know it all.
Or here's something like, what's something you're enjoying more than you expected right now?
Oh. Yeah, and that could be, oh my gosh, Ron, this is legit. I've started watching, it's an Appalachian murder series, but true crime that all happened in Appalachia.
Yeah, they were my cousins, so thank you for bringing that up.
I've been meaning to share that.
I thought you were going to say that, so I thought I'd do self-deprivation before you did.
No, but it's real. I've been listening to it, and I'm like, okay, this is more, because it's very historical. So it's like, it's historical true crime, but it's more interesting than I thought it would be.
You know, Kristin, you're going to end up moving to the Appalachian. I feel it. Like,
oh, I don't know. I am intrigued by it. I've asked Ron to give my mom and I a tour. My mom's actually the one that's been majorly intrigued by it her whole life and never been there.
I would like to take you to Pilgrim Knob, where I grew up. And
let's do it. I love an adventure.
So what we want to do is invite reflection, not reflex. Reflex is that robotic loop that we've talked about.
Yes.
Reflection is real. It's raw. Sometimes you will get information that people don't even expect because, as I said, you get micro expressions, but sometimes you get micro statements where they just blurt out the truth. And,
oh my gosh, Ron, I'm so programmed. I've asked someone how they were twice in the same, like, how are you doing? And then they answer, and then you forget because it had zero meaning. Like whatever they responded with, like didn't even resonate. And I've been like, so how are you doing? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just asked them that, right?
Yes.
It's sad. So I'm glad we're going over this.
So Kristin, we're going to throw this in free, but people get a dopamine drizzle when they hear their name. And if you want a statement to be more powerful, if I were to say, what kinds of problems have you been solving, Kristin? If I throw your name at the end, it makes it more powerful. Or you tell me you're a banker. Let's say we met years ago and you said I'm in banking. I might say, what pulled you into that line of work, Kristin?
I love that.
Yes.
That is awesome. Yeah, that is because then you know what? Like as you were even saying that, even just here on this podcast, I'm reflecting on my own experience. Like what did bring me into banking and what kept me there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, that's huge. I love this.
Yeah, and also stories create connection, not credentials. I loved you jumped ahead there, and I loved it when you said I was imagining, when I said the football field, I'm on the 40, 70 yard line, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You saw a football field. And that's what you want to do. Anytime when I do interview skills, by the way, that's what I talked about my interview course. The first time you and I met, I was on your show.
Yeah.
And I said that if you can, about every 3 or 4 questions, turn it into a story. So you're telling a story instead of giving the robotic answer to an interview question, because we all know if you're competing with someone, they're going to choose who made them feel the best or even the most. Like I felt that person, and they don't even know it sometimes. They're gonna say this, I like that person. But really what they mean is that person made me feel good, right?
Yes. And last week when we were talking about this, because I said I was sitting down with the CEO and he was telling me about his business venture and, just kind of laying out where I may fall into that. And so he ended it with, that was an exciting conversation. And I was asking you wow, that's the first time someone said that to me. What does that mean? Well, a few days after that, then he messaged me and said, I'm sitting here with my COO. We need an opinion. And he was asking me for my opinion on something. And then I gave it. And then he was like, why? And so then I gave him the why. And he's like, oh, damn, that's deep. Awesome. Thank you. And so here it is. I'm like that. When you do leave somebody feeling excited about what they're doing and their vision casting, it does resonate with them clearly, right?
Yes. And that we can perceive feelings. Like, let's say that I stop by your house, I'm in sales, and I see your dog. I've seen pictures of your dog, God bless it. But anyway, I might go, oh, cute puppy. So the reason I'm here, you see what I'm saying? There was no feeling. That I took some leadership or sales training and I'm supposed to acknowledge your dog. It's a lot different than saying, oh, what kind of dog is that? And then maybe even pet the dog. So what people need to do, if you're going to have purpose, you have to slow down. And if you ask me 2 things, Kristin, that's changed since I retired, is I'm a better listener. I'm a much better listener, and I've slowed down. That's the 2 things. And I wish I had known this, then. Now, I think I'm a better conversationalist, but I've been doing that for a long time. I learned a long time ago about, the robotic, stayed in the loop and asking better questions. So I remember when I would get a new employee, I would start threading because they're brand new and they've just moved here from wherever across the country.
Yeah.
So I need to get to know a little bit about this person quickly. So I learned to thread, I learned to pick up on body language, but I also learned that not to gloss over if they say something important. If you and I are talking, Kristin, and I say, yeah, I'm fine. My daughter's been sick, but I'm good. Then if you're not paying attention, you're going to just let that gloss over. You're
going to lay on that I'm good. And you're going to, oh, good.
Yeah,
and
good.
Then you're like,
glad
then
you're
a total ass.
That's true.
If you do that. You have to pay attention to all of that. Oh, my goodness. Okay, here's what messes people or where people still mess up, right? I would say they ask, excuse me, a better question. I'm pulling a Ron over here. The throat clearing. Sorry, guys. They ask a better question, then they move on too fast. So like kind of like what you just did. And that's why that follow-up is really important. So like what would that sound like, Ron? If you're making a point to ask a better question but then you're moving on too fast with the answer.
Exactly. See what you did? As soon as you did that, I'm like, okay, it's as simple as saying, tell me a little more about that, or, how did you feel about that, or what made that stand out for you? How did that change the way you think? There's anytime you're subconsciously validating someone when you ask them to continue, or you dig in and ask a question that pertains to what they're talking about.
Yes, exactly. I'll be honest, even when that CEO said, why? Well, I give him my opinion, and why? Literally something that simple. And then listening to my response, which was, short and sweet, and then, oh, wow. So like just that simple act of asking the why behind an opinion, that's powerful as well.
Really is.
So that follow-up is everything.
Yeah, and Kristin, I do a lot of conversation matching where you have that practical information, social, intimate, and what we have to understand is personalities. If I meet you, you're smiling and you're like, hey, how's it going? And I can tell that you're outgoing, then I may want to engage you socially a little more than I would if you seemed really dry. I might want to get to the point. So, there's emotional conversations, which is really deep and intimate. There's social conversations, there's practical. But the problem is a lot of leaders stay in practical all the time. They're focused on the mission, and they do not get to the other aspects of a person, a human being.
Right. Yeah, and I'll just share, as you were talking about this, I was thinking about the fact that I had this boss that really just didn't care about family or anything like that, right? Like they were the ones that got in the office at like 6 a.m. That was like their life, right? And so I remember my daughter, we had been going through hell with her health, and she had a brain surgery scheduled like a week or two out from this date. And I still was at the office every day. There were people that were like, I had no idea what you were going through. My boss came up, and didn't come up very often, but came to the office and was like, how are you doing? And I was like, things are going well. And then because in my head, I was like, does she mean how am I doing personally? Because quite frankly, that's that's hell right there. Mm-hmm. But my department is doing well. So then I was, talking about the department. But it was at some point I was like, I wasn't sure which direction you were going to take this in, how my daughter's doing or how the department's doing. So I just went with the department. She was, oh yeah. How is your daughter doing? You know what I mean?
It meant nothing.
So I knew, it meant nothing, because it was like when someone else doesn't have family, as their number one, they don't, that's just not how they think. And they really lose a lot of leaders, because people, especially now, Ron, people are finding the importance of balance more now than ever before.
They really are.
And so it's really important to be mindful of the conversations and make sure you do take the time to know somebody as what makes them tick as a person. Yeah.
And Kristin, we can go on and on conversations, and we might do another episode of how to build trust and how to be more influential. But this one is really about those initial conversation starters, that initial getting to know someone. And I remember in one way, I just changed a wording in giving in assignments. This is just a future episode. I used to go, can you write this article by Friday? I would get excuses. When I changed it, I started saying, please write this and get it to me by Friday. Let me know if you didn't.
There you go.
Just by doing that, I got a lot less excuses, a lot more work done.
Yeah.
So that's the importance. But guys, if you feel like, you're an introvert, you can literally practice good questions that you can think about. I heard this lady on the internet. I really like her, Van Edwards. She basically says, like, if you ask her how she's doing, she'll say, on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm about a 7.5. And it totally that causes you to think. So I don't think you can fake sympathy and empathy. I think you have to do some deep reflection to build that.
Yeah.
But you can certainly do some good conversation starters. You become more curious, and then you start to thread. You start to learn more about this person. I tell everyone you should at least have a baseline with the people around you, and you should supersede that. But if you don't get to know a personality, you're not going to understand that someone might be analytical, they might be more social, they might be more driven, and you don't change your philosophy. It's like I said, the message doesn't change, but the method does. You might talk to one person differently than another person, and it's going to make you very strong and powerful in your leadership journey, even in your family.
Yeah. I love that example, Ron, because she could say that, and then you could say, how do we get you to a 9? Or what would bring you to a 9? Right? Because 10 might be unrealistic.
That's exactly right. Or you might even say, why a 7.5? Now you've got me curious.
Yeah, exactly. You can't build trust, influence, or loyalty without curiosity. And if that curiosity is felt, people know when you're genuinely interested versus just being polite.
That's exactly right. Every conversation is a chance to reinforce distance or build connection. So you have to decide.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you keep asking those safe questions, you're going to keep getting shallow answers.
That's
quite frankly.
Right. Kristin, how can people help the podcast?
Rate us, R-A-T-E. I'm always careful with that. If you say it too fast, it sounds like something else. But no, we need those ratings. That helps us be more visible. So continue with that. Share us out. All of that good stuff. But the ratings, that's really number one on what we need.
Yeah, it really is. All right, everybody, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Hang with us. We got a lot more exciting episodes to come. Be the leader you're meant to be.
We'll see you next week.
The Dirty Side of Leadership podcast is brought to you by Forward Operations. If you'd like to book Ron or Kristin for speaking events, training, or executive coaching, visit forwardoperations.com. Be the leader you're meant to be.